At Maximum Mediocrity, people say things like,
I don't dress like this on the regular basis. This isn't my, pooping uniform. This is not what I wear.
and they also say things like,
The nurses are usually either angels of mercy or whores.
every episode is a new experience where you get to know people that aren't famous but should be.
Why did my facing Floyd Mayweather in the woods?
My co-host Morgan and I track down the people you didn't know you needed to hear from.
It's like hot sex in a mug.
We are the Maximum Mediocrity Podcast, and we are on all major podcasting platforms. We'll be waiting for you.
You've been lost in the woods for hours now, stumbling around in the dark. You come around the bend and see two people roasting marshmallows over a roaring fire. They see you coming into the clearing and gesture over to pull up a log. Welcome to Campfire Ashes. I'm Paul.
And I'm Jess. Join us as we tell each other our originally written spooky stories around the campfire and then dive into the lore and legends that inspired them. Is it something that goes bump in the night? Is it something menacing lurking past the tree line? Or is it just weird and otherworldly? You'll find it here on Campfire Ashes.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, or right here on the Geekscape Network.
There's a party each and every year on Christmas Eve, where the fun and cocktail shrimp don't seem to end. Clark and Ralphie taking turns on the TV screen, laughing, singing, yelling with all of our friends. Well, it's Christmas, and everybody's gonna spread the holiday cheer.
Hey, Dylan.
Matt! Oh my God! We are quickly approaching episode 200. We're not there yet. But
Next week.
what are we doing this week?
This week, to celebrate that we're almost at 200 episodes,
Yes.
we are going to discuss back and forth our top 5 episodes or moments, if you want, in podcast history. Dylan,
Yes.
I would love you to start. What's your number 5?
My number 5, and I'm starting with a heartfelt pick. My number 5 is our very first episode, Let It Snow.
Didn't make it on my list at all, but
Didn't
that's
make it
so
on your
sweet.
list at all.
Nah,
So my picks are not just the content, like not just our conversation, but just representative of the podcast as a whole. That's a lot of my picks. I'm going very heartfelt with mine. Let It Snow. I feel like we hadn't quite gotten our groove yet. It's literally our first episode, but I'm thankful that movie was introduced to my life. I'm thankful that got added to my yearly December watches, and I'm thankful of what that episode represents, which is us meeting almost weekly to talk about things that we enjoy.
And I think that we got this weird, and I support it, but people really look at us as like the Let It Snow guys.
I'm for it.
I think we championed that movie harder than any other human being has championed any movie. And you know what? I say it every year and then I forget. We need to reach out to the director and
That's
be
what
like,
I'm
listen,
saying.
man,
It's
no one loves your
weird.
movie as much as we love your movie. Like,
It's weird that we have not talked to anyone involved with that movie.
No.
and we really should. There's gotta be director, writer,
somebody.
Someone. The girl that looks like Hermione.
But yeah, there's definitely something we're missing out on, and I'm going to start sending those emails, I think, next week.
For sure.
Just to see what we can get.
This is gonna be. We're gonna go as long as we want, but we're gonna kind of just talk about what we like about each one, and then kind of move on to the next.
Well,
thing. So,
you know what
go
though?
for
I
it.
think
Yeah.
ironically, my number 5 was our second episode.
Really?
I'm pretty sure it was our second episode.
Okay.
Which was the Confessions of a Mall Santa. Where Joey, when Santa Claus came onto our podcast as our first guest, but it was. That was such a magical episode, and I think that episode, even though we don't have a lot of guests really on our show anymore, it is 99% of the time it's just the two of us.
Yeah.
That episode really set this tone of talk about a great way to introduce your hosts to an audience. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it was just, we were so overjoyed to be even though we knew, like, spoiler alert, it wasn't a real Santa Claus. Like we were so overjoyed to be having that conversation, and you can like hear it. It's not even a bit. It's just you can hear the legitimate giddiness in both of us.
Yeah.
As we're talking about it.
To talk to somebody who's had that full experience, and every year, like, my favorite moment of every school year is the day before Christmas break. I get to don that costume.
Yeah.
And walk around the school, and to talk to somebody who gets to do that every year, and to hear fuck, man, I'm gonna start tearing up here just thinking about it. But just to hear the different stories and the people that he has impacted with that, and being able to hear us reacting to that,
it's great.
I'm really
it's
happy
a great
with
episode.
the way that came out, and I feel like hopefully one day we can have Santa back.
For sure.
Yeah.
I should also mention, and I hope that this isn't too late, there's a thing that they do when they do the top 5 lists on my friend's podcast, Geek History Lesson, that I think we should adopt for this episode.
Okay.
Which is that if someone says something that's also on your list, you're able to say, hold your thoughts on that because I have it higher on mine. And I hope that I didn't just let us just gush about Confessions of a Mall Santa when it's late. Okay.
It's
but
not,
just
it's not
for
on my list.
For the next 4, just keep that in mind. If either one of us says something that's on the list, be like, oh, hold your thoughts on that.
I have some off the wall ones.
I'm sure you do. Well, let's start with you. What's your
All
next
right, my
one?
number
4.
And this is strictly because I want more people to see it, is Inside Number 9's The Devil of Christmas.
You know, didn't make my list, but the amount of times that I have thought about that episode and told people about that episode of television, and like, I don't know if I almost feel scared to rewatch it because I'm like, is the magic not going to work knowing the twist the second time around?
It's one of our shortest episodes because we don't really get into it. Like, we talk about the setup and some of the jokey bits, because for those of you who aren't familiar, it's set up like a parody of a 70s sitcom.
With a commentary track.
With a commentary track. Yeah. Don't look anything else up about it. But I picked this specifically because I feel like more people need to see it. This show just aired its final season, and not enough people that aren't in the UK talk about it. And I wish it would get more of a play over here. So even though I don't have, we're not oozing with audience in August, I hope that more people discovered this show, and specifically this episode, based on our conversation. And I always listen, audience, Matt Kelly is a encyclopedia of weird shit, much like I am in different realms. And I always feel proud when I can share something that you genuinely enjoy. It makes me happy. I love being able to share things with my friends and them really liking it, and I felt like this was one that, like, we struck gold with. So
absolutely.
What's your number 4, man?
On that same vein, this is probably the newest thing that will be on either one of our lists. But I mean, we recorded this less than a month ago, but I remembered laughing so hard while recording it. I laughed so hard re-listening to it.
Yeah.
It's the Alf Special Christmas.
Oh my God. Just
like
how absurd that shit is.
Dude, when we started talking about the happy Christmas music transitioning immediately after a character talks about his wife dying, and we are choking. We are laughing so hard. It is definitely, I think, up there with one of our funniest episodes. I've been trying to do more, like, taking the videos of the recordings that I do and like making stuff for Geekscape's YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And I was like really tempted. I was like, this one almost needs a video component where we show these clips. Like I came real close to just like saying fuck it and doing a video edit of it as well.
Those are, I'm going to be honest, those are so fun to watch. Yeah. I love, all right, and I used it as a cheat sheet, as I'm sure you did, your TikTok.
Yeah.
I used your TikTok as a cheat sheet as well, because we have so many good moments, and I think that sounds really braggadocious, but we love each other so much.
We have we're getting weirdly in sync with each other,
It really
as we learned last night in a text message.
Dude, it was so funny. So I told Teddy about that last night, and this is kind of a spoiler because I mentioned this on the last episode. We were watching Spawn, and we were talking about the Spawn soundtrack, and I texted Matt, and I'm like, dude, the soundtrack's so good. And you're like, dude, it's so good. They took these metal artists and mixed them with DJs, and simultaneously, I mean a second after one another, I went, dude, it's almost like a sequel to that Judgment Night soundtrack. And you said, it's like that Judgment Night soundtrack. So I don't think we can say enough how this show is literally just two best friends goofing around talking about their favorite thing.
But I think, and this is, I think this with a lot of podcasts, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think about one day I'm going to get married and almost all of my groomsmen are going to be my podcast co-hosts.
Partners, yeah.
But like, a lot of those people were acquaintances until we started doing the podcast together.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
you're no exception. You know what I mean? Like, you were a person who I would see at every Monster Mania, and we'd hang out and we'd have a great time together.
Mm-hmm.
And we had each other's phone numbers, and once in a while we would text about like a wrestling pay-per-view.
Yep.
But it was doing this podcast where it's like, no, Dylan needs, I want Dylan everywhere. Like, I want Dylan at everything.
Same, dude. Oh my God.
At Maximum Mediocrity, people say things like,
I don't dress like this on the regular basis. This isn't my, pooping uniform. This is not what I wear.
and they also say things like,
The nurses are usually either angels of mercy or whores.
every episode is a new experience where you get to know people that aren't famous but should be.
Why am I facing Floyd Mayweather in the woods?
My co-host Morgan and I track down the people you didn't know you needed to hear from.
It's like hot sex in a mug.
We are the Maximum Mediocrity Podcast, and we are on all major podcasting platforms. We'll be waiting for you.
You've been lost in the woods for hours now, stumbling around in the dark. You come around the bend and see two people roasting marshmallows over a roaring fire. They see you coming into the clearing and gesture over to pull up a log. Welcome to Campfire Ashes. I'm Paul.
And I'm Jess. Join us as we tell each other our originally written spooky stories around the campfire and then dive into the lore and legends that inspired them. Is it something that goes bump in the night? Is it something menacing lurking past the tree line? Or is it just weird and otherworldly? You'll find it here on Campfire Ashes.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, or right here on the Geekscape Network.
Here it is, guys. Welcome to my hometown's video store.
Sweet, I didn't even know these still existed.
Well, they haven't had a new release since like 2004, but it's still standing. Why don't you guys look around and rent something? It's on me.
Okay, I'm done.
What?
I got the best of 1987, RoboCop, Lethal Weapon, and Predator.
Predator's good, but Predator 2 is better.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, all those old action films, the sequels are better. RoboCop 2, Predator 2, Highlander 2.
Can't argue with Highlander 2.
Do they have any anime?
Yep, if you look, it's right over there.
That's like 5 tapes.
Yeah, welcome to the Midwest.
Steve, what are you renting?
I'll probably rent some bad sci-fi. Maybe something with Will Smith.
Nice. Get some Tim Burton Planet of the Apes while you're at it.
Isn't that the one where you wanted to bang the girl monkey?
Welcome to Analog Jones in the Temple of Film. I'm Steve.
I'm Chris.
I'm Brad.
We are a VHS podcast that breaks down the box art, trailers, and behind the scenes. Do you miss the old days before the internet when you only talked about the films you watched with your friends? We watch these old tapes and look for cool trailers, bizarre promos, and break them down for your entertainment.
If you like sweaty action movies, crappy sci-fi, or schlocky horror films and hate reading, listen to Analog Jones.
Sometimes we even do research and get our facts right on these old movies.
Even if we don't, it's on the internet. It's facts now.
So search for Analog Jones and find us at anything that plays podcast.
Dylan, how about your number 3? What's your number 3?
My number 3 I have at a tie.
All right, so I need to stress something right now.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned,
yes,
what I have as my top 3.
Yeah.
I'm so curious how in sync we'll be about this.
Okay.
These
I think
are
our
like
number 1 will be the same.
I think so too. I think that if someone was to be like, "Oh, what should I listen to of your podcast?" These would be the 3 episodes that I would hand them that are like each one is dramatically different, but I think the 3 episodes as a trifecta really capture what our show is.
Okay.
So I'm curious.
That's not how I tackled this, and I hope I don't upset you with the way that I did this.
You'll know because I'll start crying. But all right,
Okay,
so
cool.
what's your number 3?
This is a tie, and if the episode portion of this is one of yours, we can hold off. But
Okay.
I have 2 things for number 3, and just because I didn't want to fit everything, I didn't know how to fit anything. Ted Lasso.
Nope, wasn't on my list.
Wasn't
but
on
okay.
your list. Ted Lasso is another one that I re-listened to a little bit, and we're both crying at the end of that episode.
One of my top 3 involves one where we're crying.
I think I know which one it is, but I'm not. We'll get there when we get there.
When we get there. But yeah, that Ted Lasso one was a close honorable mention for me because
Yes.
we could not get through talking about that episode. It was that. There was I think there's 3 episodes where we are legitimate. I had to edit down the amount of sobbing that was happening as we were talking about what was happening. But Ted Lasso is definitely on that list. It's so good.
The tie with that one is not an episode, but it's easily my favorite guest, and I hope you can text him after this.
Sure.
Favorite guest next to Santa. Sorry, bud. It's whenever we have Joe on. I love having conversations with Joe.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because I think that there's something that I never told you.
Yeah.
Matt Rogers listened to our episode.
Really?
Joe sent me a screenshot where Matt Rogers messaged him directly on Instagram and said, like, Joe, just listen to your appearance on Christmas 365. You have no clue how much I appreciate how strong of a fan you've been all these years, back when I was like a nobody and you would talk to me after shows. Like, it was like the sweetest message, but Matt Rogers has listened to our episode on his Christmas special.
Matt Rogers, if you're listening now, absolutely love that album. Can't wait to see what's next. And Joe, seriously, when you are on, it's almost like he is just a third
co-host,
member of this podcast. We have
and you remember the
such a good
first
chemistry.
episode he did with us was another kind of heavy, weird one.
Yeah.
Which
it
was when he did the carols versus church songs.
The Christmas songs. Yep.
Yeah.
That almost made my list just because I love that conversation.
It's a great conversation. That's like episode 4 of this podcast.
Yep.
It's so early.
We had a lot of good heavy hitters, but weird.
Did he also join us to do the live Last Christmas review?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the live Last Christmas review. That's the one where that's when I added that to my list. Was like, I just love having Joe on because I couldn't pick the one that.
Again, we don't have a lot of guests, but we should have an open door for Joe at least once a year to come
Joe,
on and just
you definitely
do
have an
something.
open door, bud. Come on. In.
Well, I'm going to talk about something that we don't do a lot of, but we did mention the Christmas carols versus Christmas songs.
Okay.
Is when we do like a discussion episode. And we've started to get back to those.
Yes.
But I think that the gold standard still for discussion episodes was recorded in your house. And it was an idea that we didn't think was even going to work. And it's still one of my favorite episodes, which is the Could There Be a Full-Length Frosty the Snowman movie pitch? Where we're just spitballing ideas and we are laughing so hard. As the part that I love is when we start pitching the trailer, where it's like just like a snowy town and this hat is just rolling through the town and then it lands on a snowman's head and the camera zooms to his coal eyes as they burst open into human eyes.
It's the scariest thing ever.
Just like Frosty.
Who did we cast? I can't remember.
I can't remember. I think John Goodman's name came up at one point,
sense.
but yeah.
For some reason, I have Seth Rogen in my head.
Seth Rogen, dude. If we didn't say Seth Rogen, we need to re-record that episode and fix that.
Human eyes pop up, but they're bloodshot.
And they just go. All right. So that's my. I mean, there's not much. It's a really short episode. It's like 15 minutes, but it is like it is a home run 15 minutes.
Good. Such good. And that leads to my second to last favorite thing about this podcast, and it encompasses a bunch of episodes, and that is any episode that you and I are in the same room for.
Oh, those are. I stay tuned for number one for me.
Yeah, that's my number one too. I think we have the same number one.
I'm positive we do.
I'm pretty sure we have the same number one.
I think I once said that it is the funniest episode of any podcast I've ever recorded. But we'll get there. No, being in person's a totally different vibe.
And reacting to music, I love when we're reacting to music. The fact that we discovered a Pokemon Christmas album that is mostly bangers.
Yeah.
That is mostly amazing. It's so much fun getting to hang out with you, hanging out on your couch, and when we were recording upstairs, and things are going to be a little different if I come visit you and we record down there.
If you're coming over at some point to record, that's going to happen.
When we record, down there. Yeah.
Remind me to pitch you something, but I think if you can make it out here for the weekend of the live stream, I have a fun thing that we can do during the live stream.
Okay. Sounds good, man.
Just keep that in mind. But all right, continuing. Yes, in-person stuff is amazing. It's always going to be better. There's always a better flow, and we are just not that we don't try to make each other laugh when we have to record remotely, but I feel like when we're recording in person, we really I don't know about you, but I know when it comes time when we send that message 2 weeks beforehand, and we're like, all right, what episodes are we going to record? And we know we're going to do a bunch of music ones, but we want to have a few things that we have to watch. I'm always what is going to be the thing that we are just laughing our balls off while we're talking
bit?
about?
What's the one that we're just going to go off on?
Yeah, you have to think about it with that, because if we start laughing in person, it just becomes infectious.
It does.
So it's
belly laughter, and that's why I picked my number one is the belly laughter.
Stay tuned for that. But I will tell you, my number two is something that made us cry so hard.
Yeah.
Is us doing the lyric breakdown of his favorite Christmas story by Capital Lights.
Yep.
I love that episode.
Yeah.
But I also I can't even remember it quite well, but there was some bit where we were laughing, we were crying and crying and crying, and then we started imagining the scenario of either one of us being the man in that story, just telling our sad story to a group of children. They're just oh man, here comes old man Lyles with his sad, depressing story every Christmas.
Every Christmas is the same fucking story.
It's so that episode jumps from really funny to absolutely we are openly sobbing, and the edit I don't even know how much of it comes through in the editing, but we were crying so hard recording
that
episode.
Song. Ugh.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It's so good. And I said this on the show at the time. That song really encompasses the Christmas feeling.
For sure. 100%.
That's why we do this.
All right, Dylan, let's see if we can do this in sync. On the count of three, let's go say our number one.
Hold on. So the way I pulled this up is I pulled up a clip from this that you've done. Do you mind if I play it? And if I'm wrong, you can be cut it off.
Okay.
But I'm going to play the clip from the episode that you have, because we are fucking dying. It has to be the same. All right, you ready? I hope it comes through, and if it doesn't, maybe you can edit something into it. Are you ready?
Yep.
He's stalling, and then plays the wedding video.
Yep.
And it's 30 minutes of just close-ups on Juliet's face, and it's so fucking weird and creepy. And then we basically stop dealing with these characters until the end. Yeah, the end of the movie where Mark knocks on their door. Okay, and everybody's seen this, but Mark knocks on the door. Fucking Juliet opens it. He's holding a sign that says, "Don't tell them who this is. Tell them it's carolers." Which, a side note, she goes, "It's just carolers," and he says, "Tell them to fuck off," and she proceeds to stand there for fucking 10 minutes, and he doesn't come to check on her. Well, here's the thing. The flip side of that is if it was you or me, our girlfriend or wife is like, "It's carolers," he'd be like, "Oh, fuck!" Carolers, get out of my way! Oh my god! Oh, I can't fucking wait! I'm here for carolers! Mark! You're the caroler! You're the caroler!
That is easily my favorite moment of Christmas 365. Dude, we were belly laughing.
It's so funny. That entire Love Actually episode, honestly, we are laughing so hard. But that moment, I was thinking about that moment after we recorded that episode and just being like, that was a fucking home run.
That was the one.
That was the moment. And that was, again, I don't think that would have happened as funnily.
No.
I just made up a word if we were doing it remotely. The fact that we were like upstairs just like laughing at each other and stacking on the bit and just laughing so hard. And I think Teddy was just downstairs like reading.
Oh, for sure. I think she was. She was just downstairs doing her own thing. I guarantee she just heard two guys just belly laughing. Mark, get out of the way. Wait, Mark, you are the carolers? What's up, buddy?
Dude, the bit where we both jumped on the idea that we would be so excited if our girlfriend was like, there's carolers outside. Get out of my way.
Yeah, if you were cheating on me and your lover came up to the door, don't pretend they're carolers, because I'm going to find out real fucking quick. Carolers? Wait, who's this guy?
Shit. That is it. I was like, that's what I texted you last night. I was like, we have the exact same number one. There's no way.
That's what I thought too.
That we went through almost 200 episodes of this together and we didn't both agree that was the funniest moment that we've ever had on this show.
Oh, it's so good.
So
it had
good.
me going again. And
it's beautiful.
It's definitely being able to record in person, because like we'll have bits like that separately, but I think you and I are the same person, as in like we're kind of like doing other shit while we're here too. Like sometimes you'll say something and I'm on Wikipedia or something else, or I'll say something and I can tell you're doing something. It's the show's still good. I'm still very proud of the episodes we've released when we record separately, but the magic really does come together when we are together and we're just trying to make each other laugh.
Oh, it's so good. Well, Dylan, here's to another 199 episodes of this podcast together.
Yeah, so back in the day, we were like, hey, we at least got to get to Christmas 365, but I'm going to be completely honest, man. I'm ready to go above and beyond that. Like,
no, for sure, but we have to make sure
flying past it.
We're going to completely ignore when we get to episode 350.
Yeah.
And we're just going to save something big for episode 365. Like that's like the milestone for us.
And then 366, we're going to become a Halloween podcast. It's going to be great.
It'll be perfect. All right, Dylan. Well, here's to 199 more episodes, and I can't wait to do episode 200 with you next week.
Next week, it's going to be great, man. Have a great week. Love you, buddy.
Love you too.
Now we won't stop till the big ball drops on New Year's. Happy holiday. Have a great holiday. Have a merry happy holiday.
At Maximum Mediocrity, people say things like,
I don't dress like this on the regular basis. This isn't my, pooping uniform. This is not
and they also say things like,
The nurses are usually either angels of mercy or whores.
Every episode is a new experience where you get to know people that aren't famous but should be.
Why did my facing Floyd Mayweather in the woods?
My co-host Morgan and I track down the people you didn't know you needed to hear from.
It's like hot sex in a mug.
We are the Maximum Mediocrity Podcast, and we are on all major podcasting platforms. We'll be waiting for you.
You've been lost in the woods for hours now, stumbling around in the dark. You come around the bend and see two people roasting marshmallows over a roaring fire. They see you coming into the clearing and gesture over to pull up a log. Welcome to Campfire Ashes. I'm Paul.
And I'm Jess. Join us as we tell each other our originally written spooky stories around the campfire and then dive into the lore and legends that inspired them. Is it something that goes bump in the night? Is it something menacing lurking past the tree line? Or is it just weird and otherworldly? You'll find it here on Campfire Ashes.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, or right here on the Geekscape Network.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.